Welcome to your new religion, the Church of Dog. Followers of the Holy Dog, we have two new true stories for you in this sermon, showing that dogs are the actual protagonists of Earth and that humans have only caused trouble during their administration. We need only 50 more subscribers to achieve a decent-sized cult status on our climb through the hierarchy of religious popularity. So let's kick it. Here's your first true story.
It is time for
This Dog in History.
June 1931. The boy could hardly breathe. The icy cold water had sucked all the air out of his lungs. When the water first swept him out, he fought against it. But it wasn't long before he was pulled out into the middle of the large river, far from shore. The 12-year-old was nearly in shock, bobbing in the River Tawe, located in Swansea, Wales. After struggling for some time, the boy was nearly motionless now, using his remaining bit of energy to keep his nose and mouth above the water. The North Dock was just too far away, and he had resigned himself to his fate. He was just too cold and too exhausted. Suddenly, something was trying to bite him, but he didn't care. He felt it latch onto the collar of his wet coat, then he felt movement. There was a small reserve of energy the boy used to struggle against the creature, but it was short-lived. He eventually just allowed himself to be pulled on his back. He wasn't sure how much time had passed, but the next time he had the energy to look up, he saw the North Dock, much closer than before. He didn't interfere with whatever had been pulling him, and the boy had new hope. Soon, he was there, at the dock. He somehow managed to pull himself the last few feet onto the shore and saw his savior for the first time. A large black Newfoundland retriever. This was Swansea Jack. That was not his name at the time. It would be bestowed upon him later. Although no one had taught him how, Swansea Jack instinctively dashed into the cold water to save the young man. Something he had never done before, and workers on shore were now seeing it for themselves. Word quickly spread about the big black dog that had saved a kid from drowning, and they were still talking about it when it happened again. Another person saved from the treacherous river by the amazing canine. And then another. And another. By now, the entire town of Swansea, the 25th largest city in Great Britain, knew of the hero dog. Swansea Jack was given his name because the residents of Swansea were known as Jacks, and everyone across Great Britain would come to know the dog's new moniker. The news media came en masse to get the story, and on that day, with all the reporters present, Swansea Jack saved another person right in front of them. Overnight, this awesome dog became a national celebrity, receiving honors and awards with frequency. But what they didn't know was that Swansea Jack had a secret, a very dark secret. To most he was a hero, good boy, but to some he was their most feared adversary, an evil villain. This was indeed the opinion of every single duck on a nearby pond. Swansea Jack's favorite playtime hobby was going to the pond and scaring the holy hell out of the ducks there. Never hurting them, but making them waddle for their lives. In total, Swansea Jack saved the lives of 27 humans who were otherwise doomed in the dangerous River Tawe, and also saved the lives of 2 other dogs which had faced the same fate. Today you can still visit Swansea Jack's memorial statue, and in the year 2000 he was named the Dog of the Century by the Newfoundland Friends of Bristol, which trains dogs to perform water rescues. So, was Swansea Jack a hero? I guess it depends on who you ask. Most say yes, but there are some duck descendants at a local pond that might beg to differ.
Hey, it's
Community News.
Thank you to all who have subscribed thus far. Your reward is in dog heaven, a place in which only the goodliest of humans are allowed to go. Remember to submit your ideas for Church of Dog official holidays, brethren. Here are your next 3 holidays to use as religious observances in lieu of work. January 11th, Swansea Jack Day, celebrating the angel dog of the River Tawe in Wales. It's been nearly 100 years, but I'd like to think that Jack is still watching over those deadly waters. January 12th, Collar Unity Day. Dogs are often required by human society to wear collars, so today you can show your solidarity by wearing a collar of your own. Something sparkly, to bring attention to your faith. Make sure it has a name tag so your canine owner can find you in case you get lost. September 30th, September Morn. A day to look back on good boys and good girls in the past that have touched your life. Although this holiday has the word mourn in it, dogs would really prefer that you chose joy over sadness. So celebrate this day in dog style. Chase a squirrel, yell at the mail carrier, or sniff a stranger's posterior. Pro tip, you are going to need bail money. An important note, as we iron out details of our sermon format and the true stories, after this week, the second real-life story will be about humans being awesome to animals. But for this week, we have a last moronic human story. Here it is.
And now, let's get to
Human Evoluzers.
Eric Barcia should have read the state's motto, Virginia is for lovers, which would have ensured that he was with a romantic partner who almost certainly would have told him that he was being very stupid. But there it was, the bridge that promised him the thrill of a lifetime. Barcia looked over the edge at the drop below, no doubt cracking a smile while thinking about his upcoming adventure. He then excitedly retrieved the supplies he had brought, short bungee cords, several of them, and a harness. Oh yes, this was happening. None of the cords were long enough on their own, but Barcia considered himself a MacGyver-y kind of man, and this man had a plan. First, Barcia calculated the exact distance from the bridge to the ground, confirming it was just a skosh under 70 feet. This was an accurate measurement, so you can place your bets as to what goes wrong on something else. Measurements were key, of course, so Barcia was careful in his calculations. Okay, he had the distance to the ground correct. It was then time to tie the smaller bungee cords together to make one long bungee cord. For real, he did this. He tied each end to the next, tightly securing each knot, if for no other reason than to avoid being known as the mouth breather who met his demise because he produced inferior knots. Now, again, if you assume that Barcia's fateful mistake was his lack of a Boy Scouts knot tying patch, keep guessing. His knots were, although ill-advised, tight and secure. While we don't have the exact details of Barcia's stunt, I would like to imagine that at this time Barcia took a lunch break. Proud of his achievement so far, munching on a gas station corn dog and wondering if anyone would believe him that he actually did this awesome thing. As it turns out, he need not have worried. There would be plenty of evidence to confirm his accomplishment. It was perfect. The sun was nearly setting, and Barcia would consider the poetic perfection of this beautiful sunset and his own mortality. I'm kidding, of course. Barcia likely wolfed down 2 more corn dogs, then squeezed a packet of mustard into his mouth, before downing it all with a can of Fatal Impact malt liquor. Lunchtime was over. Back to work. The last of the preparations were simple. He had already measured the height of the jump at just under 70 feet, so he then carefully measured the bungee cord to the same length, then tied the remaining end of the bungee cord to his harness, securing it just as safely as he did his other knots. And now, Church of Dog congregation, you have all the information you need to determine why Barcia is going to have a less than stellar day. If you already know the answer, then where were you when Barcia was playing circus music in his mind? Police later retrieved the body of Eric Barcia, then performed a thorough investigation at the scene to determine Barcia's ultimate flaw. This took about 48 seconds. Garcia had measured his bungee cord perfectly to match the distance to the ground, but one detail escaped him. Bungee cord stretches. Everything would have gone swimmingly had there been another 30 feet of air below him when he reached 70 feet. And by swimmingly, I mean even if he did have the extra 30 feet and survived, wouldn't he still be dangling at 30 feet above the ground when the cord retracted? He was alone. But I might be analyzing this too much. I'm gonna go get some corn dogs. Thank you for listening, brothers and sisters. Check out our other sermons on this channel and enter our glorious new phase of your life by becoming a Church of Dog member. It's as easy as subscribing and printing out your free certificate of membership in the link in the description. Now, as always, treats be with you. And a reminder to our dog listeners, please control the people population. Have your humans spayed or neutered. Thank you to Swansea Museum UK, Swansea Jack UK, the BBC, Wales Online, friendsofthedog.za, visit swanseabay.com, impora.com, Pavi Inn, JNN from Yonkers, and RFY for content assistance.